I used to believe that after a certain age, life stopped surprising you. That you settled into your habits, accepted your reality, and made peace with what you had. I thought that was maturity, knowing your place, your people, your path. But somewhere along the way, comfort turned into stagnation. My marriage, once full of warmth and shared dreams, had become cold. We didn't fight, we just stopped speaking unless necessary. Meals were eaten side by side, but not together. Birthdays were remembered, but without celebration. I convinced myself that this was normal. That every couple reaches this stage. That passion has an expiration date. I tried, quietly, to revive it. Suggested walks, trips, even counseling once. The response was polite nods, vague promises, and eventual silence. I blamed work. I blamed the years. I blamed age. But the truth is, we stopped choosing each other. We let time carry us like driftwood, floating near, but never connected. I started noticing the small things. How I never laughed anymore. How I avoided looking in the mirror too long. How the only time I felt something real was in dreams. I wasn't miserable, I was numb. And that scared me more. I watched others around me, people my age traveling, picking up hobbies, even falling in love again, and I judged them at first. I told myself they were irresponsible, selfish, chasing youth. But beneath that judgment was envy. Not for the things they did, but for the feeling they were still chasing something. I hadn't chased anything in years. I just existed. And for the first time, I allowed myself to admit it. I was deeply, quietly lonely. Not because I was alone, but because I was invisible, even to myself. It started as a conversation I barely remembered initiating. A comment on a book recommendation, a reply about music, something harmless. They responded thoughtfully, not just reacting but engaging. I didn't notice the shift right away. It was just refreshing. Someone actually listening, responding with interest, not duty. Our chats became more frequent. Short exchanges turned into deep dives. We talked about regrets, childhood memories, fears we'd never spoken out loud. There was no flirtation, not at first. Just comfort, understanding. They laughed at things I didn't realize were still funny. They remembered details I thought were forgettable. With them, I didn't feel old, I felt present. I told myself it was innocent. That I just needed someone to talk to. That everyone needs connection. But I started checking my phone more. Rereading messages. Waiting for replies. I thought about what I wore, how I sounded when I spoke, how I phrased things to seem lighter, smarter, younger. I started hiding my phone, not because there was anything explicit, but because I knew it was becoming something more than it should. I caught myself smiling at nothing. Looking forward to conversations more than anything else in my day. They noticed I seemed happier. They asked if someone had inspired me. I lied. I said I was just trying to take care of myself. And part of me believed it. But deep down, I knew what was happening. I had crossed into emotional betrayal before I even realized the line existed. This person wasn't mine, and I wasn't theirs, but we had begun carving out a world where we belonged to each other in ways that didn't need labels. I wasn't looking for an escape. I was looking for someone who made me feel seen. And I found them. We met in person without planning to. It just aligned. Same city, overlapping schedules, a casual suggestion that felt harmless on the surface. I convinced myself it was just to talk, to put a real face to the voice that had become part of my daily thoughts. But the second we locked eyes, I knew it wasn't going to stay innocent. There was no pretending anymore. The connection had weight. What I told myself were boundaries dissolved without resistance. We didn't speak about love or commitment, just leaned into the moment we'd both built quietly through months of unspoken longing. It wasn't impulsive. It was inevitable. The aftermath was not euphoric. It was hollow. I lay awake that night, not with regret, but with a deep, unfamiliar silence in my chest. I had done the one thing I swore I never would. I had become the person I used to pity. I went home with my heart racing, not from thrill, but from dread. I didn't tell my partner. I acted normal. But everything felt off. Their presence made my stomach tighten. Every kind word, every routine gesture suddenly felt undeserved. I started avoiding touch, avoiding eye contact. Conversations turned shorter. Guilt didn't scream, it whispered constantly. The person I cheated with reached out, wanting more, but the magic had cracked. What was once beautiful now felt dangerous. The affair didn't break my marriage. It exposed that it was already broken. My partner wasn't clueless. They looked at me differently, like they were waiting for a truth they didn't want to hear. One night, after a long silence, they asked, "Are you still here?" I didn't answer. Because in my heart, I had already left long before I touched someone else. The affair just confirmed what I hadn't admitted to myself. I didn't end up with the person I cheated with. There was no dramatic escape, no second chance romance. We stopped talking, quietly, as if we both knew that what brought us together wasn't meant to last beyond the moment. I didn't run back to my marriage either. I told the truth, not all the details, but enough. My partner didn't yell. They didn't beg. They just stood still, absorbing the confirmation of what they probably already suspected. The next few weeks were cold and quiet. We agreed on space. I packed a bag and left without knowing if I'd ever come back. For the first time in decades, I was alone in the realist way. No roles to play. No one to answer to. The silence was sharp at first, but slowly it softened. I started waking up without dread. I took long walks, not to go anywhere, just to breathe. I read books without distraction. I made dinner for one and didn't feel pitiful. I started writing again. Not about the affair, not about regret, just about what it meant to exist honestly. My old life didn't crash. It simply faded. The foundation had been gone long before I stepped outside the lines. One day, my partner sent a message, "I hope you're okay." I cried reading it, not because I wanted to go back, but because I knew we were finally free to heal separately. I don't know what's ahead. I'm not chasing anything now. I'm not trying to feel young. I'm just learning to live with the choices I made.